Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Vivek Ramaswamy's GOP debate with the top 5 highlight reel. Although I still prefer his rap name from college, Vivek. And the fact that he doesn't have merchandise with t-shirts and little mugs with that, I don't want to say he's not great at marketing, but come on, that'd be hilarious. I mean, sometimes you gotta lean into the meme. I mean, how many millions of dollars did Trump print money basically with that mugshot? They put that on t-shirts, on posters, on hats, everywhere. It's like, let me know. Do you think that'd be a good idea? Vivek t-shirts and hats? But nevertheless, this comes from the previous September GOP debate a couple days ago. And again, as I try to make the show better and better, and I really appreciate the comments and the feedback, especially the critical feedback, because that's how I get better. I'm also looking for a new software technology to do picture-in-picture production. I have an issue where I've tried, again, 2 or 3 different software suites where I try to have multiple devices recorded at once, where I'll have my camera as well as, picture. But I don't know if it's because it's a newer 4K camera or they don't just have the drivers for it yet. But when I try to do that, it'll only show one or the other. So I'm looking for new software. So if you have suggestions, greatly appreciate it. And without further ado, I'll go ahead. So he has a little bit of one sentence before he dives into the video. So this is from Vivek. He says, quote, "I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections," unquote. And actually, it's one of those things where that actually is a radical idea. I can't help but think some of them just enjoy losing, or they're just rhinos in disguise, because they're so efficient at losing. There'll be a big lead, and they'll just blow it. Like the 2020 midterms, or rather the 2022 midterms. It's one of those things where you see it, and I'm like, how did you mess up so bad? Did you either want to fail, or are you inept? What is it? But nevertheless, going over to his video, without further ado.
I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections.
How would you stop fentanyl brought into the country, mostly by U.S. citizens, through ports of entry?
There's 2 sides to this, and we have to be very honest about it. One is we do have to seal that southern border. Building the wall is not enough. They're building cartel-financed tunnels underneath that wall. Semi-trucks can drive through them. We have to use our own military to seal the Swiss cheese of a southern border. But we also have to be honest. There's a demand-side problem in this country, too. A mental health epidemic. I met family in Iowa. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet on Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl. That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug overdose. That is poisoning. So it is our job to make sure that never happens. But it's also our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health care in this country, not with pump-in pharmaceuticals, but with faith-based approaches that restore purpose and meaning in the next generation of Americans. Many of them are getting it through social media. And this isn't a Republican point or a Democrat point, but if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period.
Very true. Great point. However, Democrats are not going to give up social media. I feel like historically, who's utilizing social media and who really is getting votes out with it, Democrats are very successful of utilizing that mechanism. So I agree in terms of if you're a parent and you have a kid on social media, I don't know how mentally vacuous you can be. There's no upside to it. There's literally only downsides to having them on social media. I don't think there's any reason for anyone to be under 16 on social media, especially. But the only issue is of the debate is whose role is that? Is that the parent or the government? And I think that's where he might lose some support. Because, again, that's one of those things, I think that's a parent responsibility. It's very unfortunate so many parents are mentally vacuous. Well, I'd say mentally and morally vacuous, actually. But again, I think maybe you can use the argument that it's a Chinese-based spyware company that literally just makes people dumber. Quite literally, if you just look at TikTok in the US versus the same app in China, the same company in China, they're teaching kids that it's cool to be a scientist. It's cool to be patriotic. It's cool to work hard. That's what it's teaching kids in the other country. In the United States, for kids, it's glorifying mental diseases, keeping them addicted to it as much as possible. It's not making them stronger or better. It's the antithesis. It's making them dumber and lazier. But I moderately digress.
This is something that we can both agree on, and we can revive both the mental health of this country while stopping the fentanyl epidemic that will kill more people this year than who died on 9/11. And I refuse to be a passive bystander sitting in the White House like the hollowed out husk of a current president we have. We will step up and address this problem to stand for Americans and our children.
Under what legal premise will you expel U.S. citizens?
So the first thing I want to say is I agree with everything. The Republicans on the stage are on the right side of this issue. Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across. But I do go a step further. You're right about that, Ilya. I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country. Now, the left will howl about the Constitution and the 14th Amendment. The difference between me and them is I've actually read the 14th Amendment. What it says is that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So nobody believes that the kid of a Mexican diplomat in this country enjoys birthright citizenship. Not a judge or legal scholar in this country will disagree with me on that. Well, if the kid of a Mexican diplomat doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, then neither does the kid of an illegal migrant who broke the law to come here. And as the father of two sons, it is hard for me to look them in the eye and say, you have to follow the law when our own government fails to follow its own laws. That's how we really go the distance and solve this problem and restore the rule of law in the United States of America, because that is part of what it even means to be an American. So the answer is I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections. And part of how we win elections is reaching the next generation of young Americans where they are. So when I get into office, I've been very clear. Kids under the age of 16 should not be using addictive social media. We're only going to ever get to declaring independence from China, which I favor, if we actually win. So while the Democrats are running rampant, reaching the next generation 3-1, there's exactly one person in the Republican Party which talks a big game about reaching young people, and that's me. And let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here, and so I know I have to earn your trust. What do you see? You see a young man who's in a bit of a hurry, maybe a little ambitious, bit of a know-it-all, it seems at times. I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me. We will be probably many of the people on this stage included. That's how I built my companies.
Why did he do that? So, one of the things where he's trying to, the previous debate, he was very successful in terms of saying, I'm different because of A, B, and C. You know, I'm independently funded. Everyone on here is a career bureaucrat or a career politician. And now he's cozying up to him saying, oh yeah, we'll probably work together. So again, that's more traditional politics, which I feel like the people who are really fans of Vivek, they're liking him because he's not a traditional politician. So do you think that specific instance, will that hurt his odds of becoming the nominee? Or will it help him because maybe more people in the middle will think he's playing nice with people? Again, I thought that was a little strange to see that.
I want to be challenged. I want people who disagree with me. That's what makes America great, because we're not a perfect nation. We're founded on the pursuit of perfection. That is what makes America great. And that is why we will end it once we win this election.
Mr. Ramaswamy, how would you bring down prices without immediate drilling?
Well, look, I think that we do have to run through the courts and get through that administrative state to make sure we're using the natural resources here at home. But here's the other thing that we can do that's easy.
Forever, Mr. Ramaswamy.
And it addresses the national debt as well as brings down prices. Put people back to work. We are using taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home than to go to work. That is wrong. That contributes to our supply chain crisis. It contributes to inflation. That's the easiest way to unlock this economy. And here's the other thing. We have to put the Federal Reserve back in its place. This is an agency that has gone rogue. So in January 2026, when I have the opportunity as their next commander-in-chief, we will have a new chairman of the Federal Reserve who places priority on dollar stability, and then most importantly, send packing 75% of the administrative state, reduce the federal employee headcount by 75%, rescind 50% of unconstitutional federal regulations that are shackling businesses both large and small.
That is going to resonate with a lot of independent voters, I think, especially small business owners who can't help but notice even the smallest of businesses are now being just whacked over the head with useless layers of bureaucratic laws, rules, stipulations, regulations that just slow them down, hinder them, and in some cases put them out of business. So I think that line in particular is going to resonate with a lot of independent voters.
I've offered a very clear, practical plan to do it. That's how we unleash the economy. That's how we revive the integrity of a three-branch constitutional republic rather than this technocracy and aristocracy in the administrative state. I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met two young women early in this campaign.
Specifically on parental rights in school.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is? Even New Hampshire failed to actually get past a piece of legislation here.
What's scary is that schools are literally transitioning kids without parental knowledge or consent. Like many political things, unfortunately, it's the same pattern we see. One, we're told it's not happening, you're crazy, it doesn't exist. Then we're saying, oh, it might be happening. Then saying, okay, it's happening, but it's a good thing, you should tolerate it. And then they say, oh, it's happening, and you better accept it. And then it's happening, and you better celebrate it. There's a school that was recently successfully sued for $100,000 because they castrated a young girl. She'll never be able to have her own young girls. The parents had no idea the school was doing this. And I don't think enough people realize this is really happening in several areas across the United States and globally as well. And again, in terms of parental rights, some schools have policies that forbid the teachers from even telling the parents. So, and teachers, they're perversely applauding keeping secrets from parents. They're not your kids. They're the parents' kids. It's astonishing that saying that is now controversial. But I think this stance is going to get him, I think this will help them much more than it will hurt them. Because I think a lot of parents are starting to realize, one, teachers are going way off curriculum. A lot of the teachers unions don't even want to release a curriculum. Scary thing in and of itself. But two, so they're teaching things that have nothing to do with school academics, perhaps why their math, science, all these test scores are all-time history low. But also because they're keeping sexual secrets away from parents. I think those, again, the very few candidates are bringing this topic up, partially because the United States has become a very controversial topic. People get very emotionally invested in it in terms of if they don't agree with you, they'll just yell at you for ad nauseum, regardless of facts or logic. A theme I can't help but notice in a couple other instances as well. But nevertheless, back to Vivek.
Here. The very people who say that this increases the risk of suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk of suicide. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty. I met two young women, Chloe and Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy. One of them will never have children. And the fact that we allowed that to happen in this country is barbaric. So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18.
The second Republican primary debate live from the Ronald Reagan presidential line.
So in terms of finding data and advertising and moves on political chessboard, I think Vivek did pretty darn good. Also, in terms of finding this data, within hours, his campaign had this compilation put up on his Twitter, and they added a couple little extra music clips to make it a little bit more emotional, add some nice graphics of his logo, his name and logo flowing on the screen. that was pretty darn good. Now, it looks like within one day it got 400,000, or actually, 417,500 views. And that's literally within the first, what was that, 48 hours? And it got 8,900 likes. Now, it looks like in terms of the top responses, you have someone by the name of William Nishmi saying, quote, "If you welcome Jesus into your party, there may be hope of winning, sir. Jesus must come first," unquote. That person got 20 likes out of 2,875 views, which does bring up a good point in the fact that some people might not be comfortable with Vivek. He's not what would be kind of the cliche Republican. He's actually Hindi, I believe. So, I mean, when you think of Republican candidates, it's not a cliche per se, but many of them are, Christian or Catholic. Let me double check his religion really quick. Yeah, all right, so just confirmed. This is from a interview with Vivek and NBC, and he did confirm his Hindu faith. So for some people, if they're very faith-based, depending on their opinions, they might not vote for him because of that fact. So it is interesting that he's bringing that up. And let me know in the comments, do you think his faith will have something to do with him gaining or losing votes? It'll be interesting to see. Now, going back to the responses to his video on his good old Twitter sphere, you have Elon Musk actually responding with the exploding head emoji. That got 2,497 likes out of 122,000 views. So that's quite a bit of attention. Let's see. Someone by the name of Joseph Erickson said, "Too many Americans are already committed to not voting for Trump." You got 10 likes for that. Someone by the name of Nick, good name. This person said, quote, "Great work tonight. You shined bright and you're ahead of everyone else," unquote. Got 28 likes out of 2,400 views. Mr. Dom Lucier, breaker of the narratives, this gentleman said, quote, "Hey, brother, I'm dropping this off to everyone that did a good job participating. Great job." And it's a cartoon where you have all the Republican candidates who are participating in the debate, and then you have a shadow of Trump's iconic hair over them. Because it is the 500-pound elephant in the room, so to say. Trump, with most of the poll, pretty much every poll we've seen, he's ahead of these folks by quite a bit. The delta is 20, 30 points ahead in the polls. Now, the big uncertainty is, will he be able to run? Is his name going to be taken off the ballot, either through legal reasons or not legal reasons? There's a lot of uncertainty there. So it'll be interesting to see as that progresses. And a lot of people are joking that these debates are just, so Trump could pick out his VP. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes from there. Let's see, someone by the name of, you'll do a couple more comments, someone by the name of Curious Newton. Now this person said, quote, "Probably the smartest on stage tonight," unquote. Person got 61 likes out of 1,600 views. Looks like somebody, this is interesting. Someone by the name of Live to Right said, quote, "Vivek kicked butt. Just that simple. He brought the plans and the execution of those plans," unquote. Getting 22 likes of 869 views. And I'm trying to see, let's see, if there's any pejorative responses. I don't know if this is good or bad, but somebody named Ken Thurux said, quote, "We need to win elections." And again, I don't know if this is pejorative or a compliment, but it has a picture of Vivek in black and white like this, and his eyes are like lasers. And that did get 47 likes. It was people appreciated it. It looks like you got someone calling him Superman USA. Go health. You're a great politician. Be a good fit. Let's see. Someone says he's just getting better. Here's one I was trying to find something that would critique him. This person's a little bit of a critique. This person goes by the name of V. So this person says, quote, "I support you, but do not be nice to these people. They are not your friends. They are self-interest career politicians who want to take you down. Do not compliment them or diminish your credentials. some of you saying I'm too young, and scream when you speak. And scream when you speak over, and scream when they speak over you like they are doing. People need to hear you talk. You are amazing, and they are going to need everything to prevent you from speaking. You got this, but you need to go hard and not always be so nice. That person got 22 likes out of 707 views. So it's like overwhelming support. Again, I'm scrolling down and I don't see many pejorative or negative responses. There's usually someone who's very critical of Vivek, but I'm not seeing that usual person right now, interestingly enough, because that person usually gets 20, 30, 40 likes sometimes. But interestingly enough, they do not seem to be present. Now let me know in the comments, do you think he was the winner of the debate if you were to choose a winner? Do you think this will help him long term? It is, in terms of marketing, he was one of the first candidates who really quickly just, bam, released a highlight reel. And it also shows what he thinks are the top things he wants to focus on, or the things he believes are going to help him become president. Those are the top 5 things that he just covered in that video, which gives you a little bit of insight into his thinking of, what does he think the most Americans care about? And again, I really wish, I think a winning topic would be to talk about also record high inflation. He talked a little bit about, deregulating some businesses, which do help, of course. I mean, some businesses have to spend a whole lot of money on a whole department just for compliance. It's an industry in and of itself. And I think more and more people need to focus on it. He did talk about energy, so that's good. Lord knows no one wants to pay $4 or $5 for a gallon of gas. It's ridiculous. Remember when gas was $1.95? It wasn't like it was the 90s. It was also the 90s, but that was just a couple years ago. 2019 was the first time in 50 years the U.S. was energy independent. We actually exported more than we used. So I guess to show you it can be done if you actually put the rules and laws and stipulations, or rather, you remove some of the bureaucratic BS so you can actually get things done. So I'll be interested. Let me know, did this increase your perception of Vivek, or does this video actually make you want to vote for someone else? It'd be interesting to see. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I know it's ambitious, but we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October. So if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to take the time to like and comment. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Even if it's critical feedback, that's how we get the channel better and better, and it's how I improve. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.